And so we are back in the timetable page, and I have gone ahead and selected train 3848 for part 2 of our New Jersey Transit equipment and route familiarization guide. So this should be a local service from Trenton to New York, making all stops, and we're going to load on in and get this train set up. In part 1, we took a local train from Penn Station to Trenton, and we went over the brake system functionalities. This, I am not going to go as in-depth again with the brake systems in this video, since I already did that in part 1. So if you haven't watched part 1, just follow the link in the description and go back and rewatch the first about maybe 10-15 minutes of that video. But yeah, so I'm just going to set up here. Open the doors on the left side. Ditch lights auto. Marker lights off. Gauge lights on. Brakes to hold. Reverser forward. And once again, I will reiterate that I am running with the cab signal system and the alerters cut out. So I can simply focus on showing you guys where the correct landmarks are for stopping locations and things like that along the route. So I don't have to worry about any sort of unwanted cab drops that may or may not be accurate. So let's double check our timetable. We got Hamilton, Princeton, New Brunswick, Edison, Metuchen, Metropark, Rahway, Linden, Elizabeth, North Elizabeth, Newark Airport, Newark Penn, on track 1, okay. Secaucus on track A, and track 7 at New York Penn Station. So, alright. This train technically would have come from Morrisville Yard, so usually they wouldn't do a rolling brake test here unless a new engineer was taking over the train. That being said, I am going to do one anyway, just because I want to make sure everything is working. So, to repeat, a rolling brake test consists of taking a 12-pound reduction, watching your speed start to fall, going to hold to test out the EP function, verifying EP function is good, then going to release. And again, speed should fall at least 3 miles an hour during the rolling brake test. Alright, so we are all set to go. Doors are closing. Alright, we've got a medium approach at Fair. Let's conduct our rolling brake test. NJ Rail 3848, good rolling. Alright. Alright, so we are coming off of track A at Trenton onto track 1. Our speed is going to be 80 miles an hour until we get to milepost 54, which is incidentally 1 mile away from Hamilton. That's an important note to make when you're on New Jersey Transit equipment, or otherwise Type C equipment, is that on track 1, even though it says we're good for 110 miles per hour in 4,500 feet or so, you are only good for 80 miles an hour between Ham Interlocking and milepost 54. So I am going to self-govern and keep my train speed down to 80 miles an hour. And by the time we get to milepost 54, we're only about a mile away from Hamilton anyway, so we'll start braking for Hamilton somewhere between milepost 53 and milepost 54. Alright, 80 miles an hour, nice and easy. So our breakpoint for Hamilton is going to be the end of the industrial siding, which you can see on the right. When we see that, we're going to take a 15-pound reduction. And then once we go underneath the road bridge that is after the end of the industrial siding, we're going to take an additional 5 pounds or so. So the end of the industrial siding is coming up right here. So I'm going to shut off here. I'm going to take 15 pounds. And then here's the road bridge. I'm going to not take an additional 5 just because we weren't going track speed there. So I'm just coming into Hamilton nice and easy just like this. I'm going to drop to 25 miles an hour, go to EP hold, and graduate the brakes. Nice, easy stop, right towards the end of the platform. Okay, Princeton Junction next, just under 6 miles. Once again, that's another fast stop, so get prepared to apply the brakes nice and early. Alright, Princeton Junction. The stop guide for Princeton Junction says, take a brake application at the second CIL box after CP Clark, if doing track speed. Take 15 pounds and then take an additional 5 to 10 pounds at the third CIL box if needed. So CIL box, or a centralized equipment location box. We just passed one off to the right. It's going to be these silver huts on the side of the right-of-way. So that's what I mean when I say CIL box. So as we proceed down the line, I'll point out all those landmarks to you, and yeah, we'll go from there. There's another CIL box. Clear track 1, CP Clark. Okay, so second CIL box after CP Clark, we're going to take a 15-pound reduction. So just keep an eye out for that, for those boxes there. Alright, there's box number 1. And here is box number 2. So we're going to go to coast. We're going to take 15 pounds. So third CIL box. I'm going to leave this application right here because this might be enough to bring us down. We want to hit the platform under 60 miles an hour. So we actually are probably in a good spot right here. So yeah, I guess I didn't need to take more air. I'll take it. That's not bad. I might take more air about halfway down the platform though. So right about here, I'm going to go down to a 20-pound reduction. And then recharge. And graduate off. Perfect. Alright, so we got about a minute and a half here at Princeton Junction. So there's a lot of schedule padding between Hamilton and Princeton. I believe part of it is just to make up for a lot of the times trains leave late, about 2 or 3 minutes out of Trenton. So they're back on schedule by the time they get to Princeton Junction and things. Again, there's going to be a lot of padding coming into New Brunswick as well, because we leave Princeton Junction at 1:22, and they give us about 13 minutes to go 14 miles, and we're good for 100 miles an hour the whole way. So a lot of guys usually going in this direction, if they're running on time out of Princeton Junction, they'll intentionally run a little slower than they normally would if they were late or trying to make up time. So I haven't decided whether or not I want to do that, or if I want to just sit at New Brunswick for a bit. If we do sit at New Brunswick for a bit, I can go over some of the more, re-go over some of the details of the braking and whatnot, but I don't think that's really necessary. Like I said, if you watch the first video, you should have a good idea of how all of this stuff works. So, we close down and proceed on to New Brunswick. I forgot to address this point in the previous video, but the reason I'm not running these brake demonstration trains from the locomotive is because the ALP-46 has a blended braking system. So while you will see the equalizing reservoir and brake pipe pressure needles drop and rise as they should, the brake cylinder on the locomotive is going to vary based on whether or not the brakes are being blended with the dynamic brakes. So I didn't want to really try to confuse people by running these demonstration trains from the locomotive, because then when I go to graduate the brakes off coming up into the final station stop, you can't really tell on the locomotive how much you're graduating off, because the brake cylinder pressure on the locomotive is going to be 0 if the dynamic brakes are being blended in. So certainly I will run services from the locomotive. I particularly like running, I believe it's 3720. That's the service that comes out of Jersey Avenue with the ALP leading. So I might record that separately and just put that up as its own, not as like a tutorial video or anything, but just as a full run up the line with the locomotive in charge. Yeah, so I got 10 minutes to go 12 miles. I know a lot of guys usually, once they get up to track speed here, they will literally just shut the throttle off and they will coast all the way into New Brunswick, which you can do actually. When I was riding 3830 that one time on Arrows, we left Princeton Junction, hit 80 miles an hour, which is the top speed for the Arrows, He put it in coast, and we drifted all the rest of the way into New Brunswick for about, like, I don't know, like 12 or so miles, and we hit the platform at New Brunswick doing about 45 miles an hour, not having reapplied power since he shut it off after reaching 80, leaving Princeton Junction. So you definitely could do it that way if you'd rather kill time moving versus killing time on the platform. That's a choice for you to decide whether or not, you know, you want to do it that way. But especially during the winter or the summer months where the weather's like really cold or really hot, that is probably the preferable way to run, because then the crew spends the majority of the time on the train with the doors closed and the climate control system, versus being out on the platform in the sweltering heat or the freezing cold. So it's just another thing to keep in mind in that regard. We just went through Midway Interlocking, which is once again named because it is the midway point between New York and Philadelphia. Clear track 1, Adams Interlocking. Nice 80-mile-an-hour switch there. Adams MOW base on the right. This is going to be the future location of the, I believe, the North Brunswick station, if they ever get that done. I think it's supposed to replace Jersey Avenue. Okay, so we are approaching County Interlocking, which means New Brunswick is not far after So why don't we go over the stop point for New Brunswick? We are doing track speed, 100 miles an hour, so our stop point is going to be, or our brake point is going to be about a quarter mile before the automatic signal after County Interlocking, the east end of County Interlocking. So at the first set of automatic signals after the east end of County Interlocking, we are going to take a 15-pound reduction or so, and then we will adjust as necessary. So this is County Interlocking here. We got the east end of County Interlocking here. And the next set of automatic signals is about half a mile away now. So once we see it, we'll take a nice bite of air. Alright, right there. Take 15 pounds here. Start to come down nicely. Nice and easy. There's New Brunswick. I might need to take a little bit more air. I'm not sure yet. Actually, you know what? No, we're good. Take a little bit more air right when we hit the platform. Go down to like a 20-pound reduction if necessary. Brunswick is a shorter platform, so we're gonna recharge here and graduate off. Alright, how did we do? That looks beautiful to me. And oh, yep. The coaches are perfectly centered on the platform. You got the rear of the cab car on and the front of the last car on. I think we have another 9-car train here. We had a 9-car train in part 1 as well. So, I'm satisfied with that. That's a good stop. We got about 2 minutes before we gotta go, so use this time to explore a little bit. It's very, very blue, but I like it. I like it. I like the way it looks. They got the seat texture nice. I think a couple of things are in the wrong places on the cars, but you're not going to notice unless you're a Jersey native and you're riding these trains all the time, so it's not a huge deal. I know that the lights do not work at the moment. I believe that is on the list of things to fix, so don't get too overexcited about the lights not being on the multi-level cars. ready to go. Okay, Edison. Edison will be next in just about 3 minutes. Keep in mind, Edison is a relatively shorter platform. It's only 8 cars in this direction. So we are going to have to pull the cab car off of the platform about half a car length to get the rear car onto the platform. The break point for Edison is going to be at the road bridge about half a mile from the station. You're going to take 15 to 20 pounds based on how fast you're going, and then you're going to adjust from there. So I'll point out the road bridge when I see it, and we will go from there. Alright, there's the road bridge. So we're going to shut off here, and we're going to take a 15-pound reduction right at the bridge here. And we'll see where that leaves us. Take another 6 pounds. We're full service here. Yeah, 15's a little low, so probably you wanted to take about 20 pounds at that bridge. Okay. But, that's still, oh, I still got it where I wanted to. Perfect. Oh, that's perfect, yep. Exactly where I wanted this. How much time we got? 30 seconds, that's not too bad. Okay. Clear, track 1, Edison. Okay, so Metuchen will be next. We got a couple of speed restricted curves coming up through Metuchen. We got 90 miles an hour followed by 80 miles an hour. So what we're going to do for our break point for Metuchen is as we're coming out of the 80-mile-an-hour curve, that is where we are going to take probably about a 15-pound reduction or so. Maybe a little bit more because, remember, Metuchen is a short platform. So I believe you can only platform 7 cars, 8 cars if the front car overhangs and the rear car overhangs. So we're going to try to be a little bit more conservative at Metuchen, so we're not too far off the mark here. We can get up to 80, 81, or 82, or throw her in coast. Throw her in coast and let the train speed come down on its own. So right at this, I think this is the distance signals for Lincoln. We're going to go to coast. Yep. Alright, 80-mile-an-hour curve coming up right here. There's going to be an automatic signal that governs the yard track lead coming back in. So right about there at that signal, that's where we're going to take our reduction for Metuchen. It's going to be a 16-pound initial set. Nice and easy. Might actually bail off here. And then take another 10-12 pound bite on the platform. Alright, let's see how we did. Too many trees. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Not bad. I will take it. Ooh. The rear of the first car is on. So, you know what? I am happy with the stop. It's beautiful. Alright, onwards to Metropark. That's going to be the last of the high-speed stops. Because after Metropark, we're going to diverge onto, I want to say it's track A for Rahway and Linden. And then it's relatively slow moving through Elizabeth and North Elizabeth. And then, I don't know if I would call Newark Airport a high-speed stop, because you're coming down the flyover at Lane, and you're doing probably about 60 or 70, but you got to be braking anyway because they're coming downhill. So we'll see what happens when we get there. As for Metropark, my notes say you're going to take a brake application at the start of the curve before the Menlo home signal. You're going to take about 15 pounds or so, and then you're going to take another 4 to 6 pounds additional at Menlo if you need to. Because remember, in this direction, Metropark is on a downhill gradient of 0.5%, so that is going to degrade your brake capability, or your braking rate, that you're going to be able to achieve with the full surface brake because it's downhill. So take a little extra care coming into Metropark in this direction. Alright, you got your distance signals for Menlo here. And I believe it's one more reverse curve before Menlo itself. So when this curve straightens out and the next curve starts, that's where we'll shut off the throttle and start applying our brakes. Perfect. Take a 15-pound reduction here. And another 5 to 6 pounds at Menlo, which is that signal right back there. So a little conservative. That's okay. I'm actually going to release. Take 15 pounds. Recharge and graduate. Okay. Alright, Rahway will be next. Rahway is going to be interesting because it's a short stop, but the breakpoint that I've chosen for Rahway is actually at the diverging switch at Union Interlocking, where you come off of track 1 and onto track A, and that's still a bit of a ways before the platform. So for Rahway, you're going to take a minimum brake application which is a 6-pound reduction at Union Interlocking as you're diverging off of track 1 onto track A. So Rahway should be a fairly straightforward stop to make. Nothing crazy. Again, short platforms are going to pull the cab car about half a car length or so off the platform. That speed limit is wrong. I'm pretty sure that that switch is a high-speed switch, so we should be good for 70 miles an hour over that switch that comes that takes you onto track A there. So we're just gonna ignore that. Yeah, we're just gonna ignore that. Oh yeah, this is easily a high-speed switch. So honestly, I actually wouldn't even start braking here, even though my thing says take a minimum here. I would honestly, if you're doing 60 miles an hour there, because I think you should get a cab speed, either a cab 80 or a cab 60 there. I would take a break at the tower. I would take 15 pounds at the tower. Good. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, I got the front of the last car on, so that's not bad. So I guess this is a little longer than 6 cars. It's probably more like, yeah, it's probably 8 cars actually. That's not too bad. Oh, the schedule padding is killing me. Okay, Linden will be next. This side of Linden, track A, is a very, very short platform. I think it's only like 4 cars or something like that. Maybe it's longer than 4 cars, but it's a very short platform. It's probably 4 to 6 cars. So we're gonna pull the cab car once again. We're gonna pull it about halfway or so off the edge of the platform. And in order to do that, what we're gonna do is we are gonna take our initial brake application at the automatic signals right at the end of the CSX yard that is gonna be on the right hand side of the right of way coming up in a few moments here. So it's gonna be about, we're gonna take a 10 to 15 pound set, and then we'll see where that gets us. Alright, so I believe these are those automatic signals at the end of the yard. So we're gonna go to coast, we're gonna set our brakes up, and we're gonna take, I wanna take 12 pounds here. Come on, nice and easy down into Linden. Take another 2 pounds or so, and recharge. There we go. Graduate. Okay. I could have pulled a little before. I could have pulled a little further up. That's alright. Yeah, so it appears that Linden is a 5-car platform, 6 cars if you overhang the first and last car. So there's that. Yeah, so at the automatic signals, I believe I took like 13 pounds or something. So probably you're pretty okay if you take just, I think it's like a 10 pound, yeah, if you take like a 10 pound set, you should be fine coming into Linden. Alright, there's the B&O bridge. And then at the next set of automatics, which is going to be the Elmora distance signals, is going to drop us down to 45 miles an hour. So we'll take a suppression brake, acknowledge. And then let the speed come down. Limited clear. Approach limited at Elmora. We're going to cross over from track A back to track 1. Since we're only doing about 45 miles an hour, once we're clear of the switch, we're good for 55. You really don't have to start braking for Elizabeth until you actually see the platform and you're coming out of that reverse curve. And you take about, I'd probably say 12 to 15 pounds. You should be in a good spot. Alright, see the platforms. Take a 15-pound set. Recharge. And we're in a good spot. Graduate. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful stop. Okay, while we're sitting here at Elizabeth, I'll go over North Elizabeth since it is quite soon after Elizabeth. It's only about a mile away. So for North Elizabeth, if you've made the stop at Elizabeth, typically, if you're stopping at North Elizabeth, you will have already made Elizabeth. So the stop guide says if you're stopping at North Elizabeth eastbound on track 1, apply the brakes as soon as you hit 55 miles an hour and take a 15 to 20 pound reduction and adjust as needed. Just make a note that North Elizabeth is a short platform. So that is what we will do. Close down. Yeah, so what I'll do is when we hit 55 miles an hour, I'll shut off and I'll take a 15-pound reduction. And if I need more, I'll add more. But yeah, so once again, North Elizabeth is a short platform, so we are going to pull the cab car off the end about half a car. And we gotta push it a little bit more. Let's see if we can get to 60 here. Alright, get to 60, shut off, take a... I'm gonna start with a 11-pound reduction actually. Set the brakes, and then probably take a little bit more air as we get closer. Yep, bring it down to a 15-pound reduction here, and down to a full service. Alright, so we're a little bit further than I wanted to be, but I think we're going to spot right underneath the automatic signals here. Alright, so let's see, we are about 2 cars out. The rear of the second car is on. I'm happy with that. And yeah, see, that's how short this platform is. I barely get in the, I think the last car's not even on, really. Oh, yep. Oh, that's actually, I actually like that stop because the first panel of the rear car is on. And the last panel of the second car is on. So I have platformed 8 out of 9 cars. I'll take that. I will take that. Very nice. And then from here on, it's easy sailing because Newark Airport's a long platform, so nothing hard there. And then Newark Penn Station is a slow station, so nothing hard there. And the Secaucus, you can't come in any faster than about 45 miles an hour because they're gonna have you stop on track. They're gonna have you stop at track A anyway. So everything's smooth sailing from here on out. Nice and easy. So you got a cab 80. Don't know if that's accurate or not, but we do have an 80 mile an hour speed restriction coming up in about a mile, which is going to be, I think, the diverging switch onto track A from track 1 for Newark Airport. So I think Newark Airport, again, my brake notes say take 10 pounds after coming off of the switch for the diverging move from track 1 to track A. So it might be, I don't know, 10 might be a little early. We also are going downhill there, so I might take a little bit more than 10 pounds if I feel it's necessary. There we go, here's the switch for track A. I'm going to shut off here and take 10 pounds. I'm not sure how accurate that cap drop to 45 is, but I definitely am going to take more air. So I'm going to take another 5 pounds here, and we're going to come in on a 15-pound reduction. Take another 5 pounds. Recharge and graduate. Perfect. Alright, that's usually about where they stop. Yeah. That's good. It's usually where the train gets pretty packed because it's not necessarily the volume of people that get on at Newark Airport. It's the fact that everyone getting on at Newark Airport has like giant pieces of luggage with them, and the multi-level cars are not conducive for large pieces of luggage. It just makes it very hard to walk through the train because the middle levels are just full of luggage and people. So yeah, if you've ever ridden this part of the corridor on trains that stop at the airport, that's what you're dealing with. It's one shortfall of these coaches. You got a limited clear distance signal for Hunter. I should have an approach limited at Hunter. It's a 45-mile-an-hour move from track A back to track 1, but this switch always seemed a little tight to me, so let's go coast through this switch nice and easy. Got another limited clear at Cliff. You got a 30-mile-an-hour crossover coming up at Dock West, so I think this is where we would get that drop, so I'm gonna take a suppression brake here, come down to 30 miles an hour. I'm going to cross over from track A. Well, actually, no, we are on track 1. We're going to stay on track 1. I'm sorry. The track A continues straight, and track 1 actually moves over to the left one, because track 2 goes off to the left over here, so that the path tracks can come in between tracks 1 and 2. So yeah, the cab signals are all messed up through this area, so just that's why I'm running with the system off right now until they sort of fix what's going on here. We got 9 cars, so I'm going to spot her at the 10. Nice 6-pound set right here. 6-car marker. The E for the Acellas and the 10 right there. So actually might be a little bit further past the 10. That's fine. All right. This is actually honestly, I think, a better spot anyway, because there's really, after the path tracks here, there's really nothing back here. It makes more sense to pull the train all the way forward. Alright, Secaucus Junction, track A, in about 6 minutes. It's got a 30-mile-an-hour crossover move at Dock East, from track 1 to track 2. So we'll put her in coast right there, let her drift towards Harrison. Yeah, I don't know how you can be getting freaking restricting in the cab when you got a clear signal at Ray. Alright. There we go. Got a clear now in the cabs. The slack run in. And throttle out. So same thing going in this direction, 90-mile-an-hour stretch between the Turnpike and Portal Bridge. You can probably get the train up to about 80 miles an hour or so before you have to start braking for Portal Bridge, so. See what this train can do. Hudson Interlocking. Sawtooth Bridges. And there's the turnpike. So we should be on milepost 7.7, goes up to 90 miles an hour. I don't know why we're getting a cab 60, but we're going to ignore that. And throttle out. Okay, 80 miles an hour. There's the brake curve. Alright, not bad, not bad. Next signal we should get a limited clear followed by an approach limited for the crossover onto track A at Secaucus. There we go. Alright, same deal. 12-car platform. We're going to take about a 12 to 14 pound set right before we hit the platform here. That should bring us down nice and easy. Alright. Last station stop is going to be New York Penn Station on, I believe it was track 7. Oh, is this being stupid again? Okay. Alright, so 75-mile-an-hour curve, followed by 60 miles an hour in the tunnels. So we're going to go to coast here. And we're going to take a 6-pound set, nice and easy. Start bringing our speed down for the tunnel portals. Alright, so this concludes part 2 of the New Jersey Transit Equipment and Route familiarization guide. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, hope you learned something, and yeah. Thanks for joining me on this trip, and stay tuned for a lot more stuff to come from this newly released content. Always a pleasure to operate this equipment. It hits close to home because this is where I live, so. Okay, so I guess it's not going to give me points here. I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and until next time. Oh boy, large gap. Very large gap, okay. Let's see. Oh boy, yep, that's what I thought was going to happen. Okay. I give up. I'll see you guys next time.